Hey Sagittarius, how's it going? I got some oracle messages for you here. I pulled a couple of signs in an I Ching hexagram for you. I got the Magus, the Prison, and Encountering for your I Ching hexagram. The Magus and the Prison are a very interesting combination. I tried getting you a third sign, but the coin kept falling off the table, kept flipping upside down. It was like, nope, just focus on these two things. And here we have, like, if you're familiar with the tarot, the Magician card, this sort of spiritually active power, this creative power, this knowledgeable personality, coupled with the Prison, a sign of restraint or constraint, and just hindrance. And having these two things, I was just thinking about, like, a Magus in prison, and his power being contained or not fully utilized, something along that. And with the hexagram of Encountering, you got a changing line, the fifth line. So Encountering changes to establishing the new. And here we have a symbol, a sign of willow twigs wrapping around a melon. And at first, when I was thinking about that symbolism, I was thinking that, okay, well, melons are sweet and delicious, and then the willow twigs are like a prison wrapping around it. So I'm thinking, okay, this thing is being contained. This thing that's like nice and sweet and good is being contained. However, melons rot really quickly. It's like the fastest rotting fruit there is. And it spreads out, and it's the rot, like, it's gross. I don't know if you've ever seen a melon rot, but it's really gross, and it spreads. Like, the influence of evil it spreads very easily. And we have to constrain and subdue evil influences in our lives. So I think the willow twigs around the melon are actually the good form of restraint, and the melon is like an evil that can spread. And evil spreads much faster and much more easily than righteousness or virtue. So here we have a sign that you can tolerate other people's opinions and behavior, but you also don't allow the evil influence of them to spread. So it's like living by natural law. Instead of really actively suppressing evil, it is suppressed by you living correctly in virtue. And if you are actually right, if you're actually correct, if you're actually living by and through natural law, you don't need to try and persuade or convince others that you are correct. You don't have to prove it. If you truly are correct, then the situation will work out in your favor, and the proof is in the pudding, kind of a thing. That you don't need to waste time attempting to persuade people or alter people's thinking. You just need to live correctly, and it falls into place. Now, at this time, you could be encountering some temptations, some distractions, something like that, while establishing something new in your life, while entering a new chapter, creating a new order to things, a new order in your life, a new order in the workplace, a new order in the world. And you may be tempted by other forces that don't belong to this new order, that perhaps belong to the old order. And these forces, perhaps they're actual people, perhaps they're part of yourself, don't want this new order to be established because they won't benefit from it. Perhaps you have some old habits that will not be fulfilled by your new lifestyle. Perhaps there are some people who benefited from the old order in a workplace or in a government or something, and they will not benefit from the new order. You are getting rid of them. You're getting rid of the people from the old order because they were corrupt. These were corrupting influences. Whether these are actual people or parts of yourself, these were things of evil. These were things that don't serve the good of anybody. They were selfish forces, habitual forces, mechanical forces, things that were lifeless, things that were deleterious and damaging, things that don't belong here anymore. And even when we eliminate these forces, their influence can still linger. It can come up in other people or in other areas. So we have to look out for the influence of this, even if we've targetedly, is that a word? We've eliminated these things with, extreme prejudice, as it would say in Apocalypse Now. The influence can still be there and show up in other forms. So restraining it, kind of cleaning up the rotted melon, you can get rid of the melon, but there's still like the bacteria saturated countertop or soil or whatever that needs to run its course, and you need to constrain it where it is. Don't let it spread. And it could be that you had to put the magus in prison. This could be a magus that used his power inappropriately, and that power needs to be constrained for the benefit of others, for your own benefit, to bring more harmony to the situation. That there was some powerful force that essentially you have to imprison or had to imprison. And now, while this magus is in prison, his influence will wane, and it will naturally dissipate. So I'm going to pull some cards about this magus and this prison, and let's clarify exactly what's going on here. Who this is, what this is, because those are the two interpretations. Like, you feel like you're being restrained, or you are restraining something. I get the sense that this is like an inverted magus, but potentially has the capability of converting into something good, like through a reformation, is that what it's called? Yeah, being reformed by a prison sentence, right? We can impose upon ourselves a prison sentence if we need to, like become hermits for a while, go within and rectify things about ourselves, make sure that we're not acting irresponsibly. If we have a lot of power, we can take some time to think about like the proper way of wielding that power, especially if we've just recently come into a place of responsibility that we've never had before. And sometimes it's good to just take a minute and make sure that we're acting in accordance with, the will of heaven, so to speak, with natural law, with this new position of responsibility, so that we don't make any mistakes that are damaging to the social order, and that we can use our power to improve the social order, or the order in our own lives, our own psychological and emotional order, our own spiritual order, our own physical health. Sometimes we just need to take some time when a new chapter opens up and reflect on ourselves, stop ourselves from making decisions or taking actions for a little while we sit and reflect. So let's see this one. So we have the Five of Swords, and here in this deck it says defeat down at that bottom. So yeah, the Five of Swords comes out when we either have experienced a real defeat or feel like we've experienced some sort of defeat, or when we've defeated a foe and that foe is not yet done. Like, we feel, and everybody knows, that the foe's been defeated. It's obvious to yourself, to everyone, like, your time is over, but this foe doesn't want to give up. This foe is going to come back in secret, or try to make another move soon enough. Now, to clarify this, I pulled the Two of Cups and the Ace of Wands. Very interesting. So you may have felt rejected and Like someone or something may have rejected you, a person or a project you may have been working on that you had a lot of enthusiasm for, maybe someone you were really attracted to, may have recently rejected you. And you may need to just essentially restrain yourself from overreacting at this time, and just try your best not to dwell on it. Cultivate, a lot of the times when we're rejected, we have a period of loneliness that we go through, because like it can take a long time to meet someone else and attempt again. And we can take advantage of that time by cultivating our psychological and emotional health. When we experience something like that, all these feelings and ideas start coming up within us, and it's a great opportunity to really look within ourselves and try to find that alchemical marriage. If rejection occurred, then there can be an inner union that we're seeking, and we were looking for an external union when really an internal one would be more appropriate at this time. And you can find a renewed enthusiasm for that during this defeat or during this rejection. So during your sort of self-imposed prison sentence, or a little bit of going into hermit mode, you can really develop your psychological capabilities and your emotional intelligence about yourself. Focus in on your internal alchemy and how to transmute that negative emotion into something useful. Because, in defeat, like, this is sort of a to the victor go the spoils type card. But it's unclear if there was a victor. It could be everybody lost. But you can clean up the battlefield, find what's still useful, get rid of what's not, and move forward in that regard, because there's an enthusiasm here that you had for whatever this was. So maintain the enthusiasm, remember the feeling of that enthusiasm, but direct it towards something else. Now, the other interpretation, if you haven't been rejected, for others, this foe that was defeated is definitely not yet finished. They don't feel like the fight is finished, even though everybody else knows it is. It is. You want it to be finished. They still have enthusiasm to get their way. They still think they can come back and defeat you. They still think they do things despite you, because of you. You're on their mind. It's very connected to you. They want to come back, keep fighting because of you. There's something about you that either they love or can't stand. And if it's something they love about you, they wish they had it within themselves and they don't. And if it's something they dislike about you, it's probably, again, something that they dislike about themselves, or they dislike your new ideas, your new way of doing things that they don't benefit from. But regardless of what it is, it's very intertwined. They think about you a lot. This force, these people, this person is like almost obsessed with you in a way, for better or worse. And they're going to continue acting for a while. I don't know. Let me clarify. Let me pull this last thing out here and see what we can get for you. It's a strange feeling. But yeah, it's like they're acting despite you, because of you. It's not just your ideas, it's something intrinsically about you that threatens them. They think if like a new order is established based on you, based on your ideas, based on your way of doing things, it sets a precedent for the culture at large, for the future, that they will never benefit from. you know, like, this is a very lofty example, but, you know, things are getting cleaned out in the government right now in America, and a lot of people hate it. But it's because these criminals benefited from the old order. You know, we're really a kleptocracy. We're a civilization ruled by thieves. And people are coming in and cleaning out the thievery. And so people who benefit from a world order of thievery are not going to benefit in the future. And they hate it. This, you know, rooting out evil, the enemies, you know, the people who benefit from that evil are going to fight tooth and nail even after they've been defeated. Yeah. So here we have just the fixed stars here. That's what this symbol represents. You know, we have the wandering stars, or the planets in our solar system, and then the fixed stars, which are the stars out, you know, in the outer space. And basically, the fixed stars are the combination of stability and cycles. So it's a cycle that's changing, but it's stable and predictable, right? The precession of the equinox and all that, the precession of the zodiac, it's predictable and stable, yet it's constantly, it's like a constant wheel, a constant change is going on. You know, it's called Hamlet's mill, or Am Lodi's quern, if you're more into the Nordic tradition. But the great mill, the great cycles of life, are represented by the precession of the equinox and the turning of the fixed stars, and how things change, how civilizations rise and fall, how orders rise and fall, how people rise and fall, how life cycles occur in, you know, different stages. And there are stages that are more difficult transitions, especially the more mature stages where we deal with things like decay and illness and death and things like that. These tend to be difficult stages for human beings to deal with, whether it's on a personal level or whether it's on a professional level or a social level or a psychological level. You know, the precession of the equinox, these cycles can apply on all scales of life, as above, so below. So there's a wisdom in the precession, how one zodiac sign changes into the other through time. How, you know, for instance, we're in the middle of the age of Pisces, moving into the age of Aquarius. Somewhere between the 18th century and the 22nd century is sort of that cusp between Pisces and Aquarius. And there's a lot of changes occurring, some for the better and some for the worse. You know, new orders being established, old orders being eliminated, new ideas being established, old ideas being proven wrong, new ways of seeing reality being established, while old ways of seeing reality are going away. And finding out, perhaps there is something about how Pisces changes into Aquarius, or any other transition, you know, perhaps how Aries turned into Pisces, or so on. How in the future Aquarius will turn into Capricorn. And look for, at this time, find out where in the zodiac these energies you're dealing with are, and find how you can use these transitions, how you can use the energy of one zodiac sign to transform the energy of another. So especially today, if you're dealing with a transition and it feels like it's tied to the larger culture, this is just an example. It feels like it's tied to the larger culture, the larger human element. It could be Piscean ideas being gotten rid of and Aquarian ideals coming in. And we can work with the Aquarian ideals, live within the Aquarian ideals, like I was saying, living within natural law, choosing to act and operate on Aquarian ideals, and the bad Piscean ideals will sort of just start to go away on their own. So for example, a Piscean ideal of faith, particularly blind faith and belief. This is sort of something that people generally don't want anymore, because we're changing into Aquarian ideals of knowledge, of knowing something. It's not about believing in something, it's about, does this work or not? Is this useful or not? Like, can I make use of this? Can I know whether this is true or not? I don't see a point in having faith in something. I want to know something, and I'm okay not knowing something. An Aquarian ideal is like being okay not knowing something. People generally have faith or belief because they're not okay not knowing something. They want to believe in something so that they don't have burning questions in their mind. They want to put these questions to bed so that they can just go to sleep at night without thinking about it. And this is where a lot of religious institutions get their power from, because they offer answers. Not just religious institutions, but anybody. There's a lot of just people like, oh, here's the answer to your deep burning philosophical and spiritual questions. Okay. And then the person's like, okay, I believe that. Now I don't need a quest for knowledge anymore, I feel better. Someone in the Aquarian mentality would be like, well, I don't need to be satisfied by beliefs. I'm okay not knowing. I don't need to know, so therefore I will not be swayed by your opinions or beliefs. And people who gain power by trying to satisfy that urge in people, like, oh, I can give you the answer, I can put your mind at rest, I can give you psychological and emotional solace because you don't have it right now, because you're missing answers. You don't know what happens after you die, and that's really bothering you. You don't know what happens, you don't know what the soul is, and that's really bothering you. You don't know what humanity's place is in the cosmic scheme of things, and that's really bothering you. It keeps you awake at night. Let me tell you these answers, and you won't be bothered anymore. Well, you've just gained power over that person, and now you can create a government. You know, whether it's a church, a religious government, or just a secular government, whatever it is, they all try and use that Piscean lack of knowledge. That Piscean, I need to have faith in something so that I can sleep at night. They can't influence an Aquarian person in that way. A Piscean tyrant will look at an Aquarian subject and say, oh, I can give you the answers you're seeking. And the Aquarian's like, well, I don't need them from you. Like, I don't care. And then the Piscean tyrant is like, well, but I can put your mind at ease. Don't you want to believe me and follow me? I can help you out. And the Aquarian is like, no, I don't need you. I don't care about this stuff. And the Piscean tyrant doesn't know how to gain power over Aquarian people. It doesn't work for them. And their tactics don't work anymore. And so they are going to try and find out how they can change their tactic, but they probably won't, because they might be stuck to the old way of thinking and are incapable of finding the new way of thinking. And that's what bothers them about you, is that you're an unknown quantity to them. They don't know how to deal with you. You defy their expectations. You don't allow these things to influence you, which they use to so easily influence others, and it bothers the hell out of them. And so you can use those transitional forces, how one zodiac sign transitions into another, using the other, the one that's moving into, because precession occurs in reverse, you know, so it like starts with Pisces, moves into Aquarius, moves into Capricorn, so it goes like from 12 to 1 instead of 1 to 12, because that's just the way the Earth moves in space. And so think of the zodiac in reverse and how you can push and pull and utilize these natural transition zones between zodiac signs to transmute energies. It's a very interesting way. It's like zodiacal alchemy, right? Using these celestial mechanics or celestial laws to transmute energies from one thing into another. That could be very, very helpful for you at this time. That could give you a lot of analogical insight. You can work by analogy to defeat this issue and have a lot of success in that regard. So Sagittarius, I think that's where the Oracle and I are going to leave it for you here today. I hope this was helpful. But I really appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me. I always appreciate seeing you. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.